Hey guys and gals, welcome back to another Monday evening live stream. Tonight I am joined by Donovan Dreyer, who has been a mentor to me in the past. I was in a coaching program that he led, and we've gotten to know each other a little better through the years. And when I said, "Hey, look, I'm looking for people to come on to my small business podcast," he raised his hand, and I was excited about that. When he sent in his bio, I had to chuckle a little bit. um, I'll just read it right here. After completing his Aviation Tech Bachelor's degree and undergoing extensive flight training, a conversation with an airline captain in an informational interview convinced him to change his trajectory. And in an ironic twist, by choosing to plant his feet firmly on the ground, Donovan found that his impact could be far more uplifting, enabling others to truly soar to greater heights. So that really intrigues me because so often when we go through a thing or we spend money on something, we get stuck in the sunk cost fallacy and we think we have to stick with it throughout time because we put the time and money into it already. So I'm curious for you, like, what about that interview with that captain made you change trajectories, and how did that bring you to the business that you're in today?
There was a lot of sunk costs, Ken. There's a lot
I
of sunk
know.
costs.
I can't imagine the training and all of that is cheap. I mean, that's a lot of cost there.
At least gas was only 89 cents a gallon. So that was the
You're
saving
kind of
grace.
dating
So
yourself back there.
just a tad.
Uh,
Yeah. So I mean, we had all of the college plus it. With having to get the aviation classes, it actually took me 5 years instead of 4 to get my bachelor's degree. Then the instruction fees, then the gas and fuel. So that I was the
wow.
poster person for sinking costs into your college education for starters. Um, wow. So yeah, it's never like, whenever I reflect on that, it's like you can't do any worse than that. But probably there's two big things you learn with flying, and one of them, like Sully when he landed on the river, it's like fly the plane to the ground, never give up, and you got to fly the plane. That's one big rule. The other thing you need to learn is when to go or when not to go. So the go and no go decision. So I think that's what allowed me to instantly sink those sunk costs and move on. And having that conversation just helped me realize this is not what I was meant to do. And I could see this dude had the fire in his eye. He was just crazy passionate about flying. Told me all these stories. They were scary stories about what he had as near misses and doing all of the crazy things. And it just was like, I'm not feeling it. If there was Uber, dating myself again, which there was not, it would have been like Uber in the sky for me. It would have been whatever. And I was just like, I can't do that with my life. And, I had no idea what it'd be like to have a midlife crisis or late life regret yet. But for some odd reason, I just had a gift to be able to just let those costs sink like a treasure in the sea and move on.
Yeah. Wow. Not many people can do that. Like I find myself even when I get into that now and I know, okay, this is not the thing for me, but I'm like, but I need to try one more time just to find out. And I don't want to let it go too quickly. And it's really a gift and it's something special to be able to just let it go when like when and just let it go. It's so hard for so many people to do. I'm curious what it was like after going through that college, all of the training, putting the money into that and deciding to walk away. What was that trajectory like to where you are today, the team takeoff coach? And that's a play on words because you were trying to take off with your career, right?
Joke's on me. It's always on me. It's okay. I don't mind being the butt of the joke. But yeah, I was fortunate enough to have a fallback job with my dad's business doing furniture refinishing. So that was pretty cool because I made decent money. It wasn't like I had to go off and do the barista thing. And it was maybe I would take that over, but again, it was like, no, this is his thing. And I just couldn't see myself doing the spraying and the chemicals and all that stuff till I was later on in life. And I just kept doing that soul searching. And you just reminded me that a song came on the radio. If you can't have the one you love, honey, love the one you're with. And that's a love
Yeah,
song.
right.
But in that moment when I was in my dad's business, it was starting to get embarrassing that he had to kind of clean up after me, because there's a lot of steps with chemicals and wood and stains and everything. And invariably, I would mess one of the 12 to 15 steps up, and he'd have to come in and fix it for me. And I'm like, dang, I'm in my 20s. I'm a grown man. This is embarrassing. And when I heard that song, I thought, I still haven't done the soul searching to find the one I love, career I love. I'm going to keep hunting. But in the meantime, I'm going to stop poo-pooing this furniture refinishing and lean in. And that's when I started to like kill it with all the jobs and be able to run jobs on my own without him having to, come and clean up after me. And that was pretty empowering. So, yeah, that was part of the trajectory. And then ultimately the Columbine shooting happened, and I was like, this is a game changer in our society. I suspected it was like not a small matter. And obviously it wasn't, because we've had a lot of that stuff continue. And that was the thing that called to me. And that's what got me into working with teenagers, get my master's degree in school counseling, and jump into the schools.
Yeah. So you said you got your master's degree in school counseling. Is that what you spent the majority of, say, 30s and 40s in that role? Because you've transitioned pretty much out of school counseling by this point,
Yeah.
if I understand right.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah. So, I mean, I wanted to go in firsthand. I didn't want to read a Newsweek article that said why in big, bold letters. And then you read some articles or some books that people are like, trying to be the psychologist that has all the answers. I'm like, nah, I need to go in the trenches, see what's up with the kids directly, find out for myself why there's, harm to others, number one, but there's more self-harm that I saw over the years in school counseling. And so ultimately what really grabbed my attention after working with people in the business realm is actually figuring out how to optimize their mental health. And the way you do that is like figuring out what your true calling is. So circling back to my own thing, I know how well that's served me to make that no-go decision fast, because we don't know how long it's going to take, how slow that road's going to be to really dial in and find our true calling. And look, most people never, ever find it. And when I've had these sales calls to have people enter the program that you were in, a lot of people get that close to going for it, and they pull back and they settle for the late life regret, and then just go to the grave with nothing but regrets. So yeah, that was what really made me lean in to these younger years to help them figure out, let's get you fired up about what you got to do 40 hours or more a week.
Yeah, for sure. There's a saying for businesses, especially when talking about dealing with employees: hire fast and fire faster. And it seems like you're saying that that's how one should approach finding their calling, is try something new. Don't be afraid to jump in and try something. Man, by all means, when you realize this is not the thing for you, don't be afraid to move on and move to the next thing. Is that
No go? Yep.
how you approach that?
Yeah, heck
when
yeah.
when you know it's a no-go, just move on.
You got to just move on. Yeah. I mean, I think too many people settle for plan B. A lot of the valedictorians, there's some studies that say 70% of these kids that get the good grades are going to pick doctor, lawyer, or engineer. Like, they think there's only choice A, B, or C. Like, it's multiple choice. There's only 3 answers. And if you're that good academic kid, you shouldn't even think and use your brain. You got to pick one of those 3 or else. And it's the furthest thing from the truth. Everybody can't do those 3 things. There's a whole crap ton of other things to do. And when you look at this moment of life where we got to pick what we're going to do, we don't have to think about 30 years anymore. I don't even know if the career you pick today is going to exist in 30 years. So in this economy, we might have 10, 20, 100, 1,000 gigs. We might have to get gigs again and again and again, and we might have to do them in different areas. So I think kids have to get that, like they got to get things like sales abilities and the ability to land a gig and complete a contract. And then they should be able to keep dialing it in and twisting and refining what they want to do. At any point, we could change our mind at least slightly and say no go to what we're currently doing and say yes to a brand new thing that might not be that far off. There'll be transferable skills and abilities and all that will actually apply probably to that next thing.
Yeah. It's you made a comment there that kids choose doctor, lawyer, things like that. And it makes sense, because if you look at what's on TV and what's glamorized, it's either that doctor, the lawyer, the police officer. It's typically one of those three, or it's Jedis, or I don't even know what the Marvel superheroes are, or those things, and those are a little bit out of reach for most of us. So the fallback, I mean, it makes sense, is that doctor, lawyer, police officer thing. And there's so many more opportunities out there. So how do you go about helping kids see those opportunities when it's not presented in school and it's not presented in the shows that they're watching?
Yeah, I did this pretty sweet exercise of, well, first of all, I got kind of like a process to do personality development like in under 5 minutes. So that's step one. And then step two is to help them dial it in more with like literally a bullseye. So I create a bullseye. And when they put something that they're brainstorming in terms of a career idea, we put it relative to the middle instead of just listing it. So whatever's closest to the middle is probably the most likely thing at the moment, but we could slide those back and forth. And so as I go through sessions with kids on that particular exercise, we're actually putting in new things. And then if I've got 5 or 6 or 7 things up there, I actually went to ChatGPT and said, look, if you got these 7 things, what else? And let me limit it to 3. Let's not overwhelm the kid. Hey, ChatGPT, what else is there that's related to these like 5 things? Give us 3 more. And then maybe the next week I'll say, give us 3 more. So you're not overwhelming the kid, but now you get to say, okay, well, what are those? And then maybe you get like another little short summary of what those careers are, because the kid's like, I don't even know what that is, or that, or that, or that. And so it really is helpful to kind of go a little bit at a time to help them just consume only a little bit at a time.
Yeah. So what's the way that somebody, especially as kids, because they're still in school, when they're being introduced to these new careers, what's the method of getting exposure to that other than like, okay, what's I don't know, an actuary, and go type that in on YouTube and see what they do? How do they get to that in the real world while they're still in school?
It's egg on my face again. It's like the informational interview, but do that before you spend 4 or 5 years in college or whatever the heck you're going to spend money on. Do
Yeah,
that
right.
step one. You could go shadow somebody for a day or talk to them about what they're actually doing. And what do you like? What do you hate? Do you wish you should have did something else? What else could I do if, this is something I'm interested in? And, ask them about the things like, what's your week like? What's your year like? Do you get any time off? How much time off do you get? And, ask those legit, real questions. And people are really happy to talk about themselves to kids. So if a kid asks, these parents, not parents, parents, good luck. But have them talk to somebody outside of the family, probably, or maybe an uncle or an aunt or whatever. They've already heard everything they need to hear from their parents by the time they hit the teenage years. But somebody that's in a field that might be interesting, reach out to them and ask.
Gotcha. Yeah. So if we apply that to somebody who's a little older, who is maybe wanting to start their own business, and they've got some ideas and they're kind of moving down a path, how can they apply this idea of getting their business off the ground, or start or don't start? How can they apply that to the process of building their business?
Yeah, well, I think it's like the saying goes, it's we are the company we keep, or the top 5 people we surround ourselves with. So again, you can make it that next step after an informational interview. Maybe you can volunteer to help somebody. Maybe you could go in as an intern. Maybe you could actually support somebody, if they're doing business, do something within their business to help them out. So when you start to get that inside scoop, I think that's one of the big things I got. I had paid for enough programs, 2 figures, 4 figures, 5 figures. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I could start to teach people this stuff, because I've been doing a whole heck of a lot of it, and I've gotten clients. I know how to get some sales done. I did 1,000 sales calls. So how about you let me do some coaching now, and you pay me, and I'll keep learning while I teach.
Right.
And I'll get more of a peek behind the wizard's curtain, so to speak. So in Ted's world, the guy that you came into the program with, I got to see everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything. So that's really powerful, to even if you had to do that voluntarily, to get that perspective and see what it's really like. Because everybody's going to tell you it's easy peasy and you're going to make 6 figures in the next 20 seconds.
Yeah, for sure. They do make it sound a lot easier than than what it actually turns out to be, that's for sure. But that's part of selling the vision as well. I mean, in any kind of sales job, you wanna sell that vision so that the person actually buys into it and achieves the outcome that they want. Because if you can't sell that vision for them or to them and they don't buy in, they're not gonna go after it, and they're gonna stay stuck where they're at. And that makes me curious, in all of your work with kids, and you do work with adults as well in some of your career coaching and what you do with Ted, how what age group do you find is most receptive to starting something new and going after like what it is they want, and what's the difference in mindset that they have?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. It is not easy with teenagers and young adults, but it's a totally different thing. So you got maybe this idea like we got neuroplasticity and you're working with the old people and it's like they're, 35, 45, 55, 65, 75 years old. And it's like they could learn, but it's like they don't learn very fast. So it's kind of differentiation. So some people might really go slow. And that's the challenge there is the mindset is they don't believe they have neuroplasticity and they can learn something new. And so building that belief and then,
Yeah.
having somebody show up, even if they've spent like 50,000 or more dollars, you're still selling them on showing up to do the work. And it's like, wow, that's crazy. And so the younger ones maybe aren't any easier. It's just different. But I just feel like let's give them a fighting chance right out of the gates because we say, they can't figure it out at this age, or they'll figure it out when they get older, or you just work it out in life. Well, yeah, how's that been working out? Because like there's not there's not a high percentage of people that are out there in their true calling and they're happy and satisfied. So I don't think it's
Yeah.
been working out. The fireworks going off. I don't think it's been working out. So when you look at what's possible is I have some kids that haven't hit that bullseye yet in our brainstorming and our work around figuring out their true calling or what their career is, but they're getting closer and closer and closer and closer in a really short span of time in a really early age of life. So we better start early and do the best we can. That's my lane. That's my jam. Not everybody can do that, but that's the big difference. At least if we, invite them to start earlier and embrace the idea that, maybe that was stupid to just keep telling people they could figure it out as they go and it'll all work out in the end, because it doesn't.
Yeah, you definitely can figure out as you go, but going back to where we started, most of us get stuck in that sunk cost. We work our way up to a certain position and we find out we hate it there, but it's hard to move laterally. You're gonna step down a few steps to move into something else that you do enjoy. And that's so hard for people to do. So
I
I
did that
love that
too.
you have kids going
Yeah.
out. Yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
and
the step from
you
furniture
have
to the school
kids
council was
going.
a drop back. Like I took a cut in pay
Yeah.
in order to get into the schools to do the thing that was my lane and my jam. And then a lot of years of, blood, sweat, tears, stress, and, being in the schools, like it's brutal. Like it's really, really tough gig. And, you need those summers off to just survive to get to the next year. And it's only 2 months, not 3. And, I had to work every one of those summers. I have 3 kids. So every single summer I had to
Right.
paint houses or do work for somebody over all of those years because it was not enough pay. So, those 2 years were eaten up, by having to get more money in. So yeah, it was a cut and pay because it was really what I wanted to do. But ultimately, like the satisfaction and the fulfillment and the sense of purpose, it's hard to put a number on that. And, obviously you got to pay the bills. So you go work a couple of jobs. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. Is there something to the fact, or what do you say to the people who use their day job that they maybe don't love in order to fund other things and enjoy life outside of that? I was reading a book, or it might have been a post I saw on Facebook. Somebody who was he did excellent work. He was amazing at his job, and he was approached and asked, like, what do you love about your work? He's like, well, I don't love anything about it. I hate my job. He said, but I do so well at it, and I do great because I want my time here to be worth something so that I can leave and go enjoy the rest of my life. Like,
Yeah.
I
I
know
don't have any
that's what
problem
I'm
with that.
working
Yeah.
for, and I don't want to waste my time here.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think a coach for somebody like that would have to help them make sure they got this like mental health optimization with that approach. My approach is like, let's just take care of how you're doing with your inner world, because you're on purpose, you have your passion on point. And if somebody else wants to help there's like the dirty jobs guy, Mike, whatever. And then you've got, this example
Micro,
of
yeah.
somebody hating it. Yeah. Like even Nikola Jokic, the Denver Nuggets guy, he's like, I got to go to a stupid parade after we win the championship. I want to go to my horses and go home. So,
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. So how can somebody find you, learn more about you, learn more about this process that you take teens through? Do you have a podcast or something that somebody can go listen to, even if they're adults and they're like, I don't really like this whole career thing that I'm in. I want to try to find something else. What are some
mhm.
resources that you have that somebody could come to learn a little more and hopefully find some work that they love?
Yeah, I've got the opportunity for people to book a call with me right on my homepage, or not on the homepage. I think it's under the client stories. So on client stories, people could just book a call with me. I'm happy to spend time with people to just get clear on what those goals are. There's no charge for that. In your community, if people wanted to jump in and get that like 30 minutes, maybe, session, that's something they can do on getreadycoaching.com. And then it's the client
Okay.
stories page that they can get to. And I'm always on Facebook. So, if they want to message me directly on Facebook, and there is a gobs and gobs and gobs of posts that I've done that can be scrolled through right on my personal profile on Facebook too. So that's a great spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Full
lots of
indoctrination.
value in there. Yep, we got to get them. Changing the world one person at a time.
Indeed.
What uh, what would you say to somebody who's on the fence and is just like, I kind of like where I'm at, but I'm not sure. I feel like there's something missing. What's the first step they should take
Don't quit your
aside from
day job.
booking a call with you?
Yeah, I would say don't quit your day job. I think a lot of people say burn the boats. I'm like, not with the family of five, you don't burn the boats. So you
Right?
gotta don't quit the day job. There's these things like when I sold the $2,000 program, it's like, this doesn't magically transform them. How could you charge this for it? And it's like, nah, that's just like college. Like that's one class at college. This is a drop in the bucket. So you have some pretty decent courses. There's some opportunities to be served by somebody who can help you kind of root out these issues. And you might decide that you
Mm-hmm.
stick with it. So it's go or no go. So it might be stick with it or don't stick with it is the job. And I certainly can help people make those choices within the program that I run. And there's these opportunities to dabble in something. It might cost a couple grand to dabble, but it's worth checking it out. But don't quit your day job thinking you're going to make, six figures in the next 20 seconds doing this new thing that you got a $2,000 program to help and support you. You're going to have
when
a longer haul than that.
when you find the thing when you find the thing where you can make six figures in the next 20 seconds, be sure to let me in on that.
Yeah, I'll sell that to you, Ken, right now. I got to make you six figures in 20 seconds. I just told you not to fall for
I
that,
think
man.
I bought into that a couple years ago, and I guess I didn't follow through on it. That was my fault, though. Oh man,
It's not a thing.
is the best place where
It is a
somebody
thing
can
for the
find
billionaires.
you? Yeah, right. Is the best place to find you on Facebook and I guess getreadycoaching.com?
Yeah, those are probably the two places to connect with me the most. And I'm on all the socials. You can message me in
Okay.
any one of those.
All right, awesome. I'll definitely drop those links into the notes once I release the audio version of the podcast, and I'll do my best to get it into the video notes as well over on YouTube. But Donovan, I really appreciate this. It's been an enjoyable conversation, and I think there's so many people that are in that situation and either don't realize it or aren't willing to recognize it or to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But
True that. Well, I appreciate you too, Ken. Thank you so
try
much.
to spread the good news to the masses. Yeah, you bet. Let's do this again. Have a great night, y'all.
See you, Ken. Thanks.